Good day, my name is Anna Carrick, and today I'm going to be doing a presentation about the review of the book by Mel Evans, published in 2015. The book titled Art Wash, Big Oil and the Arts. I'm going to be doing a review of the chapter 1, which is the introduction. First, a little background information. Mel Evans is an artist and activist who works with liberal Tate and Platform. She creates theatre pieces in the City of London that examine culture, finance, and big oil, in addition to making unannounced performance works in Tate and writing about oil sponsorship of the arts. This book introduces the term art washing, which is a process by which oil companies seek to clean up their reputation by using public art sponsorships at major museums to garner a better reputation among circles of influence. The book was published on the 5th anniversary of the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster that gushed miles underground for 87 days and brought 4.9 million barrels of oil on shore. While the book's timely release was mostly meant to memorize this ecological devastating event, it also arrived in a wake of yet another oil spill off the Santa Barbara coast earlier in 2015. Evans' book offers an explanation of how oil companies have greased the wheels of memory and used cultural institutions to help cleanse their images and separate them from such events. This book is an insider's view of how one company in particular, BP, has alleged acceptance by tying themselves to the 4 Tate galleries in the United Kingdom. BP's Gulf of Mexico oil spill began on 20th of April 2010, and only a month after, across the Atlantic Ocean, there was a party commemorating 20 years of BP's sponsorship of Tate's group of 4 galleries spread around the UK. Outside the party, the world's eyes were fixed on the BP's gigantic spill that would take 87 days to contain. Anna Feigenbaum and Mel Evans entered the party. They were carrying 10 liters of oil-like molasses into the gallery under their skirts, held in rubber sacks attached to their hips. When they reached the entrance to the champagne reception, they spilled their precious cargo across the polished stone floor of the gallery. Across the Atlantic, BP was attempting to plug the devastating spill, and here at Tate, they replicated their sloppy cleanup mission. They described the mess to their gathered audience as tiny in comparison to the size of the whole gallery. Just a few minutes later, a group of 12 performers in black clothing with black veils covering their faces poured more oil-like molasses from BP canisters at the entrance of Tate Britain, as the guests continued to arrive. At the scene were over 50 people, who were part of a wider movement opposing oil sponsorship of the art not oil. A group of artists and activists held handcrafted place cards declaring, "Artists are angry." Since then, a choir of voices in the city has risen to criticize alliances between art and oil sponsorship of the art is becoming increasingly controversial in the UK and around the world. Art Wash will travel to art museums around the world where Big Oil, the multinational mega-corporation, has made an appearance. BP's relationship with Tate was fundamental to the company's survival of the disaster. There is a cynical PR strategy central to every oil sponsorship deal, and the companies themselves do not deny this. Oil companies want to be associated with well-known art institutions as a way to stay alive in an industry that is becoming more and more uncertain. Corporations from all over the world sponsor the arts in order to show the benefit from a specific national brand identity. It gives a false sense of corporate responsibility to cold-hearted profiteers, and it is a way for outdated industries to appear to be culturally relevant. The issue of oil sponsorship is sometimes lost among the numerous considerations that arise with all corporate art sponsorships. Although affiliation with specific companies such as banks or automobile manufacturers raise ethical concerns, the singular impact of oil makes a narrow focus on oil sponsorship both necessary and urgent. The oil industry has been responsible for some of history's most devastating social and environmental disasters. Countless disasters have occurred at every stage of the industrial process, from extraction to transportation and refinery. Oil's ability to aggravate war and conflict has been documented on every continent, from UN report findings to peace protest signs. The relationship between oil and conflict demonstrates the industry's unsettling tendency to rewrite colonial geographies. The operations of BP, Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Total in Iraq, Iran, Nigeria, Uganda, Madagascar, DRC, and Angola trace the shape of the 19th century British, French, and Portuguese colonialism. BP began as an Anglo-Persian oil company in 1909 to drill for oil in Iran with the goal of fueling Royal Navy warships, and over the years it formed subsidiaries to drill in Iraq and Kuwait. When Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh declared the nationalization of the Iranian oil industry and stated that Anglo-Persian Oil Company should return its property to the rightful owners, the British government coordinated an international boycott of Iranian oil. Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister of the time, enlisted the help of the US President Dwight Eisenhower to stage a coup and depose Mossadegh. Mossadegh was removed from power in August 1953. He was imprisoned and died in 1967. BP's history is intertwined with British military activity. It survived solely due to the British imperialism, and at the turn of the century it saw British government intervention once more to secure access to oil in the Middle East. Now, at the time when extreme weather events are becoming more common and scientists agree that climate change is one of the most serious threats we face, oil companies are not only directly responsible for a significant portion of global carbon emissions. Since 1854, nearly two-thirds of industrial carbon pollution emitted into the Earth's atmosphere can be traced back to fossil fuel companies and extractive industries. Evans associates art washing with the concept of greenwashing. That is when companies pretend to be environmentally conscious in order to gain favorable public opinion. And pinkwashing when companies brag about their support for gay rights. To outwash, like all of these different washes, is to do one thing to distract from another. Outwash is both the subject and the object of art and performance. The arts serve as both the setting and the method for investigation. The performative manipulation of oil companies on site at our museums are being scrutinized. Oil companies seek association with high arts as part of their mission to play the role of corporate citizen. To outwash is thus to perform, pretend, and disguise. Galleries and museums are important cultural sites where we learn about our lives in society and where we imagine the future. Art sponsorships are critical in securing access to power and acceptance in the eyes of consuming politics in the international oil industry. The oil industry embedded itself in cultures as a creator of our lives, a disguise to conceal its gloomy presence as a threat and destructive force. However, the story has not yet ended. The use of oil is debatable, as is oil sponsorship of the arts. The case against oil sponsorship is part of a larger movement to challenge corporate power in public spaces and over public and political life. All of the main characters in the story are fascinated by art, both as it is and as it can be. As artists strive to express their ideas and community art workers around the world strive to use the art to help others fulfill their lives, Big Oil's sinister co-opting of the arts looms as an ugly stain on our culture. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.